Hey guys and gals, this is Psionic Arrow with the Alecto, the Tier 4 British tank destroyer. It's quite small. It's got 270 hit points, it weighs 8.3 tons with 180 horsepower engine, which means it's got a pretty good acceleration. 50 km per hour speed limit. It's got good speed, but the track traverse is only 42 degrees per second, so it's decent. It's a little bit more than a heavy tank, but you don't have a turret. So you're gonna have a harder time getting around people and shooting them if they're circling you and going around corners as well. Hull armor, not that good. It's got 10 millimeters of armor all around the tank, and it's also an open top vehicle, which means artillery is gonna do tons of damage if they ever hit you or splash you. 390 meter view range, that's actually pretty good for a tier 4 tank. And it's got a 450 meter signal range, so that's average across tier 4s. Let's see, the cannon. Well, first let's say that the gun depression, there isn't a lot of gun depression on this tank. It's actually quite poor. It's maybe a little bit, slightly more than a Chinese tank, but it's not that good. The chassis, it's based on of the Tetrarch, so that's why it's got the speed. And onto the cannons. It's got a choice of two cannons. It's got the tier 4 6-pounder AT gun Mark IV, which comes from the Valentine AT, the previous tank. It's got 26 rounds per minute rate of fire, 110 millimeters of penetration, 75 damage, 0.37 accuracy, and 1.7 seconds of aiming time. So this is a typical tank destroyer cannon. Although it's a little bit low on the damage side, but it fires quite fast. It's got good aiming time, and it's got okay accuracy. And the other choice is this 25-pounder howitzer Mark III. Different from other howitzers. Other howitzers on tanks are more like this 3.7-inch over here with 47 millimeters of penetration, 370 damage, and it only fires HE and heat rounds. It's got pretty bad accuracy and a longish aiming time with a slow rate of fire. Now this thing here, it's got 10.5 rounds per minute rate of fire, so it's not that slow. It's about 5.6 seconds reload time. 71 millimeters of average penetration, 180 damage, and that's with armor piercing rounds. So this thing gets armor piercing rounds, it gets APCR, and then it has HE. So it doesn't have a lot of damage, and it's got kind of on the low end for penetration with a 0.46 accuracy and a 2.1 second aiming time. So it aims slowly. It doesn't have great accuracy. It packs a punch, but only if you can penetrate. Now this is considered the top gun for this tank. I have played with this. It's not that great when you're facing off against tier 5 and 6 heavy tanks. I've gone against KV1s, and the only part that I could shoot at was the front, of course, so I try to aim for the weak points all over. It's not that good at hitting weak points, and with 71 millimeters of penetration, it's not that good at penetrating either. So I've stuck with the 6-pounder Mark IV gun. I don't know if you guys are gonna like it. This is the howitzer Mark III. It's very similar to the 85mm cannon on the Su-85B. However, it has less penetration, but 20 more damage. The 85B's 85mm cannon gets 130 millimeters of penetration and 160 damage. It's let's check. I think it might fire a little bit faster. 85B. So yes, it fires faster, it's more accurate, but it takes slightly longer to aim. But has more penetration and almost the same amount of damage on the cannon. So if you do try with the howitzer Mark IV, sorry, the howitzer Mark III, then you're going to want to have a similar playstyle to the Su-85B, but not exactly the same, because you're going to want to shoot at weak points and the sides of tanks or the backs of tanks, so you want to flank them as well. I am sticking with the 6-pounder AT gun Mark IV simply because of the penetration. Not a lot of damage done, but it fires a lot. It gets a 2-second reload time, and it's pretty good for resetting a cap. So let's see, crew, I've got 100% crew, all of them training in Camouflage except the commander with 6th Sense. 6th Sense only activates at 100%. So it's not active right now, but right now at Tier 4 you don't really need 6th Sense unless you're playing against super Unicum players, and you know, they don't usually play at Tier 4 levels. They're usually playing at Tier 8 or maybe even Tier 6s, I'm not sure. Obviously they'll be playing the newer tank lines as well, but they kind of blow through that really quickly. I don't want to put any lasting equipment on this, so I just put binoculars, toolbox, and a camouflage net. Rounds, I put in 100 armor piercing and 20 HE. I've never run out of armor piercing rounds, but this thing does fire rather quickly. You might run out, and with 110mm of penetration, I don't think you really need HE unless you're desperate and you definitely need to do some damage. But with such a low caliber gun, you'll probably bounce HE shells on higher tier tanks. Alright, so here we are on Red Shire, and it is a tier 6 match, or at least there are some tier 6 tanks in the game, a few tier 5s, and I'm near the bottom with a Hetzer and a T-28. That other tier 4 tank is... oh, that's weird. Let's change that to tank names. It's an SU-5 artillery. There we go. Alright, so I'm knocking down that tree over there so I can get additional cover. 2 bushes are better than 1, and sometimes you'll... okay, so there's that Panzer IV. Kind of got away. I couldn't get my gun low enough to shoot it. Right, camouflage. 2 bushes makes you a lot harder to spot. 3 bushes makes you almost invisible. And since the update where knocked down trees can become camouflage as well, there's a strategic placement of where you want to knock trees down.
Looks like that one
I
went
got
right
a
through.
decent shot in on the VK5601H.
We nailed them back.
Panzer IVs.
Enemy is hit.
I don't think I only did 1 damaging shot on that guy. I'm just taking pot shots at the moment. You know, reload is pretty quick, so there isn't too much damage in shooting off a shot unless you really want to keep your accuracy up. So as a tier 4 with 10mm of armor on my tank, I'm going to stay back and snipe. And you can't really do that with the howitzer. It's kind of difficult. You do have a longish reload time as well. Alright, so I've noticed we've got 3 or 4 tanks at K1. And I'm just going to move over there to support those guys because we've got plenty of guys over near our cap. Alright, so there's the Hetzer. Let's see, yep, I can get a shot in on him.
Penetration.
Ooh, alright. And here I'm trying to turn and I realize there's a tree blocking me from turning. That's kind of crazy. Wow. So, when I fired that shot I was like, what happened? I'm not using the howitzer. It was the artillery SU-5 that was behind me. He shot at the same time I did. Alright, so I managed to not hit that ARL,
Penetration.
and managed to not damage that ELC until now.
Enemy is hit.
Side shots on a M4 Jumbo. Not,
They're knocked down.
It's not a difficult target because the side armor is pretty weak. And I managed to get a killing shot in. So I'm moving around right now because I might have been spotted. I'm not too sure. Probably not, because nobody else has been fired upon. But better safe than sorry. The speed of this tank is incredible, which is actually a very stark contrast to the later British tanks with huge armor and very slow speed, which is actually next up. The AT-2 Tier 5 British tank destroyer has 203mm of frontal armor. Okay, here's that gun depression. Not enough. 203mm of frontal armor and 101 on the sides and the back. So that thing is a monster in the armor department, but it's really slow. All right, so here's where the speed kind of, messes me up. I didn't realize I was driving that fast. So I just tracked myself. Good thing I still got a toolbox. So it didn't take too long to repair the tracks. Type T-34. Can I get in a shot on him? Yep. Okay. He's in some sort of dip over there. There we go, I managed to hit him with there, but no kill shot for me. And that was the end of the game. So let's take a look at the stats. This was a 566 experience point game. And over here you can see I got 1 kill. That was it. I did a total damage of 546 and spotting damage of 987. I fired 22 shots, only 11 of them hit and 9 of them penetrated, so, I fired a lot, and this is a gun that you can do that in. I actually detected 1 enemy, damaged 6. And credit earnings, okay, so it's 12,638 credits on a non-premium account, 19,442 on a premium account. And, that's not too bad. It's only a tier 4 tank anyway. You're not going to be grinding a lot of credits out of these things. Thanks for watching. Please press that like button and leave some comments. I'll see you in future videos.